What's going on, gamers? I'm Combat18. Today we have a ultimate Season 1 Barbarian guide. This will be a guide that you can use from level 1 all the way up until the end game. And I think that this will sort of be one of the things that you want to reference as you level your Barbarian into Season 1. Now, granted, this is a seasonal character, so we'll be talking about hearts, we're going to be talking about stats, we're going to be talking about gear, expertise, ability tree, and paragon boards. So there's a lot to get to. Before we jump in, I want to make sure everybody that is watching this video is subbed to the channel. Please remember to hit that sub button, like, and comment below. I think this build is really a game changer for Barbarians, and I think it will serve you well regardless. Also, keep in mind, this build is centered around Whirlwind to a large degree, there is a way in which you can kind of switch that and make it a Hammer of the Ancient build. But you're going to want to kind of match those changes up with that particular build. So one of the things that's really important to start out with is, what are your stat priorities? So two of them are going to be really basic, really straightforward. So strength is the obvious one, but dexterity is going to be huge for you, and that will be your secondary priority. You're going to want to do that for crit and for crit damage. Then from there, you're going to want to focus on critical strike stat affixes. You want to focus on making and inducing vulnerable damage. You want to focus on damage while berserk, damage over time, ranks of specific abilities that you're using, and then attack speed as well, and down the list. From there, everything kind of just falls off a little bit, but those are the big ones. The other things to keep in mind are that you kind of want to focus on, let's talk about expertise. So you want to focus on two main expertises here. There are two-handed swords, which will do, at max rank, a bunch of extra damage over time as bleeding damage, which will come into play as you move into the paragon board and the paragon board choices. The other one that you can really use if you have a really good two-handed mace is two-handed maces, which will grant you extra fury and extra critical strike damage while stunned. There is some crowd control elements to this gear and this build as well, so you may want to focus some on damage while crowd controlled or damage while stunned as well. So let's jump right into the tree real quick. So we're going to start with, I'm using Frenzy, but you could use Lunging Strike. Those are the two top choices in my opinion. We're using Frenzy here for the attack speed, and while berserking, you gain attack speed as well. We have a unique item that gives us a lot of ranks of Frenzy. We're also going to go Enhanced, which grants attack speed bonus and generates more fury. And then while berserking, all other skills gain the attack speed bonuses as well, which is going to be really helpful for Whirlwind, which is our core skill choice here. Each one is going to do up to 6,900 stacking damage. We're going to go, we got a couple of extra ranks there too, so 8 out of 5. We're going to go Enhanced Whirlwind, which will gain Fury each time it deals direct damage to an enemy, or Fury for up to 4 Fury against elites. So that's a lot of your Fury generation, and you'll see why we're doing that here in just a minute. After using Whirlwind, you'll also deal 30% increased damage until it is canceled. So you have to channel it for 2 seconds, so you want to build your Fury all the way up, and then it's going to do increased damage after 2 seconds. And we're going to talk about why that's super important here in just a minute. Pressure points is a really good one. Your core skills have a chance to make all enemies vulnerable. 30% chance is going to be pretty good. Most of the time, everything is either going to be vulnerable from you or from people in your group. Super critical pressure point passive right there. We're going to go Endless Fury to generate more while we're using two-handed weapons. We're going to go with Stomp for some crowd control, and then this one will also increase the duration of your stun by 1 second. It's also going to reduce the cooldown of your ult, which is super important for every enemy hit by ground stomp. And then from there, if you're going to go Hammer of the Ancients, this is where one of the deviations can occur. Rallying Cry isn't really that necessary. It could be an option here if you feel like you're running out of rage a lot. But in this particular build, I would go with Challenging Shout. This is a great option for Hammer of the Ancient, but Challenging Shout reduces your damage taken by 52%, and it taunts all enemies for 6 seconds. You're going to also then gain 20% bonus max life, which is huge for us. And then every time you take damage, you're going to gain 3 Fury, which is part of why I don't really use Rallying Cry. Whirlwind doesn't have as much of a rage issue as Hammer of the Ancients does. We're also going to go War Cry here as our second passive. These two abilities are going to be super helpful for your team as well. They're going to bring a ton of utility, so we'll go 5 out of 5 there. Grants Berserking for 4 seconds, which you're going to want to stay in Berserking as much as possible with this build. And if at least 6 enemies are nearby, your damage bonus is increased by 10% more. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to do this passive. We gain 9 damage reduction while berserking, which is hopefully all of the time. 9% is huge. And then we're going to also generate fury by more than 18 times, or 18% there. We're going to skip this tier entirely. There are a lot of builds that use this tier. We're not going to use it here. Wrath of the Berserker, we're going to go is our alt, and then Prime, excuse me, and then Supreme. That's going to generate more fury, and it's going to increase your movement speed and allow you to do more damage for every fury that you spend, which is going to be a lot in this particular build. Then we're going to go 2 out of 3. You're going to increase your max rank of fury by 6, and then you're going to get 6% heals for every 100 fury spent, which is going to end up being a lot here. And then for my passive in this particular build, we're going to go Unbridled Rage because we want to, like, cost increases are going to be higher, but we're going to do a ton more damage. So it's going to increase the fury cost of our Whirlwind, but we're going to do a ton more damage with it. You can make a case here for Unconstrained as also a really, really good choice. And if you're focusing more on the bleed end, Gushing Wounds is also a good choice. This is the only one I wouldn't recommend for this particular build. Walking Arsenal is an entirely different sort of style of play, and I don't think that that is going to fit well within this build. All right, Paragon board. Let's walk through this. There's a lot to talk about here. Your stat priorities are strength and strength and dexterity, followed by willpower, and then intelligence. So we're going to do, our first glyph is going to be territorial. We're going to do extra damage for everything that's close. The reason I did that is there's a lot more dexterity on this first board here, so you get a little bit more bonus from the dexterity that's there. And that is a pretty blanket across the board damage increase because everything is going to be pretty close to you. And then you can move your way up to the second board attachment, which is going to be Carnage. Carnage is the legendary node here. While berserking, which is almost always in this build, you're going to do crit strikes, increase your attack speed by 2% up to 8% for 6 seconds, which is hopefully a lot. You're going to go with a lot of these damage while berserking nodes. You're going to focus a lot on these recuperate nodes, and then as you move up into the top of the board here, you're also going to get, you can ignore these resistances and armor ones for the most part, but these secondary ones with extra damage reduction and damage while berserking are super huge. For our glyph spot, we're going to focus on damage while berserking under Ire. That is our second choice. Then you'll also take 10% less damage from them. When you go to attach your third board, you're going to go with Hemorrhage, and I can show you what that looks like here. So Hemorrhage is going to, you could do Hemorrhage or Blood Rage, but I recommend going Hemorrhage first, and then you're going to go enemies that this basically the legendary node is enemies that have been affected by your bleeding, which is going to be a lot based on some aspects and based on using Sword Mastery. So they're going to take extra damage as bleed over time. This isn't a super strong focus bleed, isn't, which is why we're taking it as the second board, not the first. And then from there, in the fourth board, if you get that point, you're going to go with Blood Rage, which will give you, every time you kill an enemy, you have a chance to become berserking for 5 seconds, which is often, you know, so that's going to really, really help, and then you'll end up with a bunch of extras damage to bleed on both of these, which is why I focus on swords with this particular build more than anything else. But you could also make a case for maces here. Maces just aren't going to fully utilize these boards the way that swords will. All right, so those are your priorities in terms of stats and Paragon board choices. From there, what do we want to prioritize as gear? So there's a couple of things. First of all, you want to prioritize a couple of really, really important ancestral uniques. When you get into tier 4, you're going to go with Battle Trance is a really good one. Gore's Grips, and then Rage of Horgath is also super important, and then Romulandi's Sword as well. From there, you're going to put green gems in this build in your weapons. you're going to put red, but honestly, you could change that for the damage reduction over time or some other options. Just depends on personal preference. I tend to go with, especially as I'm leveling up, and if I'm having a hard time with my health, I would go with red gems here. In terms of your hearts, this is where the Season 1 aspect of this build is going to deviate from the Eternal Realm. So in a normal world, you'd probably just put thorns or armor or something like that in your jewelry slots. But here, we're going to go with different choices. Now, the big choice, the one that's really going to set this build apart from most, is this one. It's called Barber. It's a Wrathful Heart. So keep in mind, you can only keep one Wrathful on at any given time. And this one relies heavily on Wrathful. So critical strikes, which should be a pretty high percentage of your attacks, and all subsequent damage, including at this point in time, I don't know if this is intended, but including your group's damage, gets absorbed basically for almost 4 seconds. Any absorbed damage then erupts onto all surrounding enemies. Store damage is increased by 14% per second. So that's up to 56%. So it takes all the damage your party does for 4 seconds and it blows up on everything else around it and adds 56% more damage on top of it. So huge centerpiece of this build, especially with Whirlwind, because you're going to do a ton of damage. All the bleed damage, etc., is going to hopefully have taken effect by then. If you're playing with, high nuke classes, or if you're playing with a Bone Spear, at 68 here, I'm hitting for 5 to 6 million because of this ability right here. So this is a centerpiece, a crucial piece of this, and you're going to put it in your, in one of your jewelry slots here. Guaranteed to do more damage because of that. And then from there, you can prioritize items like your Vicious slot. You should do Tempting Fate. And then for your Brutal slot, you should do Revenge. And then for your Devious, if you need a Devious spot, you should do Determination. Those are the heart choices that you'll need to make for this particular build. I hope you find this helpful. Oh, and then also just keep in mind that anything that increases the duration of your shouts as well is going to be helpful as a utility across the board for your team. So I hope you find this build helpful. I hope you watch the Twitch stream and the TikToks, and I look forward to doing one of these for the Druid very, very soon. Thank you again. Please remember to subscribe and like the channel, and I will see you again next time.